duty. We are lords of the marshes, and whoever is elected the lord of the marshes shall have our command. We will not abandon our keep, of course. Our garrison will likely stay, but we will send, it says, myself, most likely, will lead the group while my brother stays home stewarding the keep. I shall intend to take most of our forces and our cousin as we venture out to join the Lord in battle as he would command us to.
Does some nods slowly.
I would not have us turn traitor.
I would agree.
Our house has never been one to do such a thing, and so I will follow our legacy.
Speaking of legacies, there has been some... I have tried to get the lay of the land, as it were, to see who would side with whom. And it is a somewhat mesmerizing web, as you've no doubt heard from Sir Alaric. The vultures are a problem. They almost killed us.
Yes, I understand that much.
But they are not the... They will not, at least what Lord Karen told us, be content with that attempt. When the war breaks out, Lord Karen believes that they will move into the marshes in force. Try to raid and plunder and pillage our lands indiscriminately. Maybe even reach Highgarden.
Hutton says, then it is sad, I suppose, that Lord Karen is unable to do anything about that fact.
But it is also our duty, is it not, as martial lords, to stop them?
He nods and says, it is, and should that occur, I would be inclined to retreat, to defend the south from such an invasion. I find it hard to believe, however, that there would be numbers that could truly threaten the marshes, or even Highgarden.
The numbers are still... I'm trying to look into it, but it is proven quite difficult to do so.
Understandably so, I imagine. It is hard to find tracks if there are none. Likewise, you cannot find a forest if there is no trees.
A slightly dangerous conclusion. We don't know for sure.
Perhaps you would try to look into it then, on my behalf. I think you are better suited for such a task than I.
Yes, I will look into it indeed.
Good. Keep me informed.
Nods slowly. Well, I suppose good luck with finding a teacher for Bree. I don't know exactly what you told her. But,
that I would like for her to behave, and let her not believe that her future need be one of, she seems to think, what she currently is. I think she can change. I think she can become a valuable member of this house, and we need that more than anything. If we are to be respected, our members, our family must be respectable. And a respectable lady does not fight in tournaments. She does not dress in boys' clothes. She does not... He seems to stop himself and says, but her teacher will see to that soon. She may not entirely enjoy this process, but I'm sure you, if anyone, can understand that sometimes for the young it is not enjoyable to be made into what they are. What they need to be.
Yes, what they need to be indeed. He smiles slightly to himself.
She will learn to do her duty soon enough. And in the end, she will likely thank us for it.
I will say, my lord, that I think if there's one thing you cannot fault Bree for, is to do her duty. And she has done more for this house than most.
I shall expect her to continue that trend then. Now, these letters, I would have them sent sooner rather than later. She goes to open the door.
Oh, okay. All right, fine.
Showing you the exit.
Yeah, all right, sure. Dismisses Desmond. Fine, fine. I'm not. That's perfectly.
Come on, fly back in there. It's fine.
Oh, I was gonna try to help him, but no, he doesn't want that. The secret letter. Who's it addressed to?
It is for the castle of Blackmont.
Oh, interesting. Might want to ask Rosette what that is before I send it, actually.
Well, I heard she's probably working on her posture.
Yeah, Desmond's not sure if that was a euphemism or not.
You walk in there and she's stabbing a doll she has of Halen.
Oh, that's perfectly fine then.
Painting in blood. There you go. Is Lainey playing music now? Probably.
Yes.
Right. Sure, she's combing her hair, as Desmond, I imagine, knocks first.
Oh, yes. Desmond is very polite, after all.
You can, hear the... what is Lainey playing again? Flute?
He would be... Yeah, let's say the flute right now.
Oh, sure.
He has a few instruments, but the flute, let's say right now.
All right, then. Door will be opened.
Famous.
Oh, Uncle, what a pleasure. Please. Steps back.
Desmond steps in,
His flute.
Closes the door.
looks around, see his painting on the wall. He's pleased.
It's a beautiful painting.
Relationship upgrade with Desmond.
Yep.
Oh, good, you get the painting.
Desmond will remember this.
Social link increased.
The romance path with Desmond is still open.
No.
That's platonic love, please. Desmond looks around and says, well, I just came from a lovely little chat with Lord Halen, and he is being incredibly obtuse and impossible as ever.
So he moves her hand to her mouth. So it says, he wouldn't.
I know, it is very scandalous. Desmond looks over to Rosette. I did have a question there, Rosette, of this letter. He holds up the Blackmont letter.
Oh, all right.
Would you like to tell me what's in it? It's unusual to send a letter to them.
Says, yes, it is. I have not spoken to Lady Blackmont for quite a while, and I'm interested to see where she falls in this whole family spectrum. She says what she knows of everything. So I'm simply trying to get some information out of it. Have you spoken to Bree yet?
No, she seemed odd, and after speaking to Halen, I have a suspicion of what might have happened. But I'm going to have a talk with her, I suppose.
Yes, I don't know what she wants, but she seemed rather interested in speaking to you when I talked to her. She smiles, very innocently hiding something.
Desmond nods. I suppose she will speak to me in the evening then. I'll send this to Blackmont and start preparing for the Hand of the King's arrival.
Yes, of course, my lord. She nods. Anything else
No.
I can help with?
No. Was there anything else special happening while we were gone?
I think seem to think. I don't think so. Slowing down a little bit. Perhaps you should speak to Bree. She might have something to say. Though I couldn't know what. She looks to Linus.
Mm-hmm.
She looks like she's feeling guilty when she looks at him.
All right. Desmond nods very well.
Linus is just giving just his polite smile right now. Just think back and forth.
Curtsy slightly says, I suppose I will see you, Uncle.
Indeed. Take care, you two.
Oh, and Uncle,
Yes.
I will want to speak with you later.
Of
He
course.
levels his gaze with Desmond in a way which whatever it's about, it's serious.
Okay. Desmond nods very well. I will be in the Raven Roost, sending letters.
Close the door.
Looks up here.
Now, where were we?
Enjoying their time
You,
together.
you want to send Kavalar to fetch Breen, Jonas?
I could, yes.
She reaches
Father
out his
could,
hand.
Could
Fetch
fly out.
her.
Kavalar like picks her up, like
Bring her to me.
Out from a window on the top floor of the keep swoops Kvalar. He swoops around the courtyard a bit, and then he swoops down with purpose towards Bree.
Bree, lazily looking at the well, with no purpose or intent in her calm, relaxed face at all, will notice this grand shadow, blur of white, and wonder whether winter is coming again.
You would recognize Kvalar at this point, I imagine.
Yes. Bree wakes up at the bird.
He caws.
I don't have anything to play with you right now, Kavalar.
Caw! Come! He flies around her.
Where?
Caw! And then he flies towards the keep.
Bree looks out at the bird, sighs, and keep up with the fucking bird.
Yep. As Kvalar would swoop through the keep.
She does landing onto the door handle and
Mm-hmm.
having someone push it.
Pecks on it, expecting.
Excuse me.
Death!
Death!
If that's called actually squawk. Going
I
through
know the permanently crowded staircase.
That staircase sees some traffic, let me tell you.
Still following Kavalar. At this point, Kavalar stops at this room. Kavalar Bree looks at the door. There?
Pecks at the door. Dunk, 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 dunk. You will hear Desmond inside. Yes, come in.
Bree looks expectantly at Kavalar.
Kvalar sort of lands on the door handle, seems to try to push it down a little bit, but he is not heavy enough.
Bree laughs. Gently moves Kavalar aside.
He flaps up, sits on her shoulder.
And initially struggles with opening the door handle too. Kavalar, I can't open it.
Caw!
And then she opens it. Oh, make a great team, Kavalar.
He nods, bobs his head up and down, and then he swoops into the room.
Not much out of breath from all of her hupping, Bree looks around at the Raven's Roost, her smile fading. She sees her uncle.
Yeah. Desmond is he's preparing letters to send with different ravens. There's a few of them in different cages. He sort of moves back and forth between them. He looks at her and says, "Yes, Bree. It seems that something is definitely going on, and I would have you explain what."
Bree closes the door and says, "Well, surely, Uncle, you have already met with the most important people of this house, of course, Lanny's wife, and not to mention the Lord himself, who is currently in residence.
Desmond looks at her.
In front of her uncle, in this particular room, she is no longer hiding any particular pretense. The smile is very cruel now. What little there
Yes.
is.
Your flippancy and your scorn is evident, Bree, and you don't have to belittle yourself in front of me. I know full well the worth you have in this family. As he picks up a bird.
Unfortunately, Uncle, you are not the lord of the house.
Yes. What has Lord Halen done?
Oh, he returned with all of the great energy and grandeur, I am sure, of a lord who does not seem as if he has been very successful in his duties thus far. I thought I would hear good news about Appleton and his success there, and he's been furiously scribbling in the study.
It seems that Lady Appleton has vanished.
Oh, well, maybe she was taken by the vulture men.
Or she heard that he was coming and fled.
Perhaps I should have done the same.
Burn! Burn!
Flaps around. So, I noticed that you're differently dressed and that you seem to have some color back in you.
I have worn dresses before, Uncle, and I'm sure among that mammoth stack of letters is orders for more dresses from me.
Doesn't looks through them, I am sure. And how do you find this new request from the great Lord Halen?
Well, I have outgrown what I have had. I am bigger now, Uncle. Bree, looks down at herself. Back up to her uncle. I can only resew my dresses so many times. Really all my clothes.
Desmond looks up and down. Nods, I suppose that is true.
It is good that my lord feels that I am worthy enough to spend some of the house's valuable resources on me, particularly after how successful our harvest was.
No doubt. Although I am quite sure I know why he wants to spend these resources on you.
Oh?
Well, you're a lady of the house, or at least you are meant to be, as I am told.
Well, it is only proper. I wonder whether he will buy such dresses for Rosette as well.
I don't think he would be that presumptuous towards her. I would expect her to see to that herself, or in an emergency case, Elenus.
Well, she is pregnant, Uncle.
Yes. Yes, she is.
How could she fit into all the dresses she currently has if she's pregnant? What would she wear?
And doesn't, he sends different. He puts a raven down on a stool or whatever you put a raven on. What's it called? Like a sitting pole? What do you call those things in English?
Stick.
Sitting stick?
I don't know what they're called, but they're basically a stick.
A perch?
Yeah.
I think.
Perch?
A perch.
Yes,
A perch stick.
would be the word in English.
Perch stick.
Thank you. Perch. Looking it over, so it's healthy and all. So somehow I am still not entirely convinced that all is happiness and content.
Oh, I am not happy, Uncle, but when have I ever been happy?
Well, I suppose that is a point, but
That looks sad.
but it was a while ago I saw so much malice in your eyes. whatever the Lord Halen has done must have been something you quite do not agree with.
Oh, well, Ivy. Bree chuckles, which turns into a scoff, like, it would not matter what I agree with. He is the lord of the house, uncle.
Yes, and he's making himself as impossible to work with as possible, I think.
I am devoted to the success and future of this house, uncle. After all, if there were any doubt, this house also did aid me greatly in achieving what I wanted to happen to House Will.
Yes. Well, that's good that your dedication to the house is steadfast. That's certainly nice to hear.
I did carry you personally and run you away from mounted Dornish knights, uncle.
I do recall. Quite vividly. Puts another crow on a perch, or a raven on a perch. There was something else, perhaps.
Bree wrinkles her nose. How can you handle the smell in this room, uncle?
It is the smell of animals, and I like animals. They are not. They don't try to order you around. They are not deceptive. They just are. As he
Bree.
scratches a raven behind its ear, I guess, back of her head.
Bree looks appreciatively at Kavalar and says, I suppose that is true. Oh, I had figured that the Lord would have explained everything. Perhaps he is not the forward sword. After all, he is the Lord of the house and does not have to explain himself to anyone. Upon his return, he rescinded my ability to stay in my room and requested what you did for me ever so long ago, that I join him at the dinner table for meals. I am sure Agatha could explain much about how those dinners went, Uncle.
I think I can imagine. But on the plus side, it seems like you have indeed started eating again.
Yes, not that I really stopped, of course, Uncle. Well, I mean, dead. I was troubled greatly, Uncle. Now I am not.
And why is that?
Well, it is because the Lord of the house has set my mind at ease. Which is true. Halen has set her mind at ease.
Maybe it's time for her innocent smile.
Bree gives that look of like, I know you're too fucking smart and know me too well. I know you know something.
So, before there was doubt, now there is determination.
Yes, I was greatly worried and troubled after our family was attacked at the Three Pairs and events that surrounded that. I was very worried and had taken to my room for reflection. There was the time that I spent with Maester Cole, that he was generous to give to me. Probably for the first time, she doesn't look angry or resentful when speaking about Maester Cole. And I had words with my father. But I spent much time thinking about that, and now I am no longer thinking about that. Thanks to the Lord of the house.
I see. Nods slowly.
Perhaps the best thing he has ever done for me, Uncle, is rebuilt my sense of purpose. My duty, if you will.
A flicker of worry comes across Decim's features. So he looks at her. I see. Well, I am sure this purpose is glorious indeed. Even on a perch.
I do not think it is glorious, Uncle. I do not think kinslaying is considered glorious.
Decim stops. And then he turns very slowly back to Bree.
Bree, the cruel smile remains, but her eyes have watered again, and her hands are so clenched into fists that her nails are biting into her palms.
What did you just say, Bree?
I do not think kinslaying is glorious, Uncle.
No, it is not. And this is what you plan? This is your purpose?
Yes, Uncle. Before which is why I wanted to speak with you. Because, well, Uncle, although we have our differences, I ultimately do care enough about you that I do think you are a major important reason why this house has been so successful, which is why I carried you away as I did and fought those knights for you instead of being out there with Nene. I thought that if there would be anyone who would know best about what to pursue, it might be you.
Yes. These are all quite nice compliments, Bree. But I would still know more precisely what it is you plan in this regard. Because you are treading a path that there is no returning from.
Bree says, "There is no specific plan, Uncle. I had little else to speak with other than Rosette, and she and I are most certainly together on this. I think she was supposed to give me a letter to give to you. She has not done so yet."
I see.
I was going to try and read it out of curiosity, but it does fit in with both what I want and she wants. Uncle, he has been a disaster sweeping in, and it has been done. And as it appears that I I must take action. He has threatened people I care about, Uncle, and I do not think he is a fitting lord, particularly if he is more concerned about buying me dresses than he is about running this house. I am not someone to be saved. He would waste time telling me about the glory of the seven and my duty instead of worrying about everything falling apart around us.
Yes. Halen is problematic. He is immune to reason in many regards, which is troublesome. I was willing to allow him the benefit of the doubt because Elenis was so passionate, but...
Where has he been in all of the years that my father was whispered about being incapable? Why did he never, for someone who cares so much about duty, ever assume his actual birthright if he cared so much about me and forwarding the glory of this house? Why does he spend so much time with House Peak, Uncle?
That's a nonce, indeed. Pertinent questions. I have asked them myself. I am looking into it currently, but as of yet, nothing. He is a bit of a... The problem with him is, as you say, that he has been gone for so long. We do not know where.
Is he going to be around to actually meet the Hand of the King, Uncle?
No. He has deemed that less important and has decided to go out to a tavern on the outskirts of our lands to meet with potential teachers for you, I believe, and also meet up with the young Peak.
Bree splutters. Isn't the hand of the king important, Uncle?
Yes, he is the second most important person in the entire kingdom.
Oh. Almost seems like someone the Lord of the House would be interested in at least seeing.
You would think, yes, but I was given the task of entertaining him, I think the words were. There's some sighs slightly. The Hand of the King did come to see me specifically, so that is already what I intended to do, but his negligence in this regard is, again, another strike against him, in my opinion. Still, he looks at Bree. What you're contemplating doing is problematic for many reasons.
Which is why I wanted to talk to you, Uncle.
Right. Well, first of all, we need a way, if he is to be removed. It must be in a way that do not bring further disaster down upon us.
Yes, Uncle, the initial idea, Bree, scratches her head, I think was to... Well, I could not think of a way to suggest it to him. The idea that Rosette had was to suggest the importance of Deep Well Keep. You remember that whenever Nini got that? And try and convince him to at least go look into it. But that he doesn't... I don't think I can convince him, not with how he sees me.
Doesn't think so, yes. Seems logical enough. We would have a few people waiting for him and basically take him out while he inspects it. Sure.
Yes, the Rosette wanted to use the
traitors, yes.
Yes, but understandably they're not here.
No. The problem is, of course, the close relation between Halin and the young Peak. They seem very close indeed.
Yes, Uncle, which is why I had hoped that it would be highly plausible that this could somehow be shifted off to the Vulturemen. After all, they already attacked our house once, and it is very obvious that they care about pressing deep into our lands and harming us.
Indeed. It is. They certainly have the capability to do something like that. And if both of them were taken out, and uses to himself.
Maybe the Gormian would not be with him at this endeavor. I do not know the situation there. If he's apparently going to meet with them at a tavern, then it has to be far away from it. I don't know, Uncle. You're the better planner. I just don't want him.
The problem, we have a few problems ahead of us. First of all, we need... The election is coming up. It's very soon. That needs to be handled in some way. We would preferably want to break Peak's grip of the three castles. Alternatively, simply defeat him in the election and have Lord Selmy take the charge of the marshes.
Was it the plan that Halin, the Lord, and Gormian all swept up in this, allow the current Lord of House Peak to win, but he has to divide his castles up in order to do it? So that would mean that our Lord would not want Selmy to actually win, right?
That is indeed what seems to be the goal for him, yes.
And
he wants Peak to win.
And we really cannot influence that, Uncle, because, as you said, the Lord of the House is unreasonable and will not listen to your counsel.
No, he won't.
As evidenced by the fact that he is going to look for tutors with me instead of staying to greet the Hand of the King.
Indeed. I do agree that his presence is disturbing, to say the least. It has derailed a lot of the things that we have worked for and that I specifically have worked for over the years, and I do not enjoy it particularly. Removing him, though, is, yes, as I said, if it is done in a way that casts any doubt on us, we might very well bring Peak down on us via the young lord.
How, like, he would... so he would be just as guilty of violating the peace that should exist between our houses while our liege lord is here in the Reach?
The problem is that if this happens in the middle of the upcoming rebellion, which is not far away, I believe, it is difficult to say exactly what will happen. We also have very troublesome intelligence from the vultures. It seems indeed that they are on the move and that they are waiting for this to break out.
Well, what could the young Peak actually do? His grandfather's in charge, right? And then it would pass to his father. And then to this Gormian.
Yes, although if he gets control of one of the Peak keeps, he might very well have enough forces to actually do something against us.
If it were only one of the castles, though, Uncle, how could it withstand against our castle? Peak only won because of it had 3 castles before, right?
Right. I am unfamiliar with the exact number of troops that Peak fields, and we don't know exactly what castle Gorman the Younger would end up controlling in regards of troop forces. Yes, I suppose the worst thing that could happen is that we would have more of an enemy in House Peak.
How could we possibly have any more of an enemy than what we already have in House Peak, Uncle?
Well, I would be one more member of the house that would actively seek to destroy us instead of, well, whatever we have now. Dasm shrugs slightly. I do not honestly know what the difference would be.
But it could not be proven. I mean, especially if the best idea I had, Uncle, would be to convince him that all of the changes he were attempting to rot in me were successful, and that if I could have a walk with him or some time alone to speak with him about these endeavors, it would aid in my teachings. And if he plans on sparing enough time to find me a tutor in dresses, I would figure perhaps he could find enough time to spare to do that.
Dasm looks at her, and then what? You would break his neck?
I would resolve him myself, Uncle, the same way I handled those knights who were coming for your life. Mine.
Dasm leans heavily on his cane, looks at her. You are young, Bree. The act of why do I he sort of shakes his head. This is a much darker conversation that I wish to have, I must say. It is something that marks you, Bree. What I had to do was an act of desperation because there was nothing else to do. It was literally the last resort I had before me. I have not spoken to you exactly what happened back in those days, but they were dark times. During the day, I had to feign support of Lorne, and during the night, listen to my brother and your father's pained screams coming from the torture chamber in the basement.
These are dark times of a different sort, Uncle. Although Halen, as of this point, is not causing physical harm, he is nevertheless threatening to tear this very house apart. Cousin, you, Nini, needed me for survival. I am of use to this house. He wants to give me to a septa and then toss me to Highgarden to be a lady-in-waiting while rebellions and war descends upon Westeros. I think I can learn about how to dance and sew and talk properly once the house is no longer crumbling.
I see.
Besides that, he did threaten me. You saw what I was willing to do to save Nini, and as a result, Alaric still lives. He threatened her. Him. What is Nini?
It's very complicated.
Right, that's what I told Halen. Bree furrows her brows deeply, like scratches her head.
You explained to Halen and Nima's role?
No. Halen, however, has been talking a great deal with all the guards, and I imagine he has learned that the dance instructor has meant a great deal to me, and so he threatened to remove her if I did not go along with him.
Does him nod slightly. I see. Yes, that makes sense.
Up to that point, I was wondering whether this was a good or decent idea. I have been wrestling with it for some time, Uncle. You figured if he deserved that fate, then you or Nini or someone else would have done it, instead of this coming to me. But
I have kept my distance and bided my time for a few reasons, mainly because my suspicions that Rosette was going to make a move. And then I wouldn't have to. He shrugs. But it is what it is. And once again, I find myself plotting a sin most foul that will no doubt condemn me to the darkest pits of the abyss and all that.
if you valued the seven, Uncle.
Yes, indeed.
You
That
know-
is what this...
I learned recently, Uncle, that the seven really do not have any power here. That when the Andals came over from across the sea, they brought the notion and concept, but nothing really relevant.
That is an interesting perception of things. Desmond looks curiously at Bree.
Bree nods emphatically.
Where did you pick up this intriguing notion?
Oh, and now Bree stops nodding emphatically, like her eyebrow twitches. I go out. I talk to people, Uncle. I have to keep track of everything that happens around here. You know?
You go out and talk to people.
Yes. I fought in a tournament, you know, Uncle.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't during the tournament that you learned about the Andals and the gods.
Yeah, I might have learned it from you, Uncle. You don't much value the seven. I forget, you know, they've been under a lot of pressure.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Who have you talked to recently out there?
Brie has her jaw slightly unhinged. Like her eyes are staring off in the distance, behind Desmond's right shoulder. Okay, I made a promise, and those matter to me, that I would not share his name, but I trust him because at the local tournament that we held, he looked specifically for me to fight alongside him in the Grand Melee.
And Desmond sort of thinks back. And I guess he'll do a memory check or something to see if he remembers exactly who fought with Bree back then.
Sure.
Okay.
The tournament.
Do you remember?
What do I remember?
Well, you were caged up in your room. I believe you were absent.
Right. Could you restate your question? What exactly is it you're trying
Who
to here?
who did Bree fight with in the tournament in the melee?
With as her allies or enemies?
Yes, with as allies.
Okay, well, she was on the team with the Green Knight and the good sir who ended up winning the
The joust and
joust. Yeah,
You know who married your niece?
yeah. Those
Oh,
two were your
Ryman.
teammates. Yeah. The Green Knight acted most dishonorably when the good sir 20 winner, stabbed another hidden knight with a pike.
Those are the technical names. Sir
Yeah.
Turney winner.
was-
Here. Dorian Willem.
This Dorian Willem.
Yeah, all right. So if memory serves, you fought together with Sir Dorian Willem, who
married our family after he won the joust, and is a landed knight near Highgarden.
Yes, and then there was the mysterious Green Knight. As I
Yes.
recall. And if you go out there to talk to people, it is probably not the good sir, because he is far away and no doubt very busy taking care of his new family.
Yes.
It is therefore the Green Knight.
Yes.
And you trust him,
Yes.
and you have promised him not to reveal his identity.
Yes. He asked me to, and I said I would not. And he talked to me about how the seven are valueless. And you agree with that, right, Uncle?
I wouldn't go as far as to say that they don't have value. They have value insofar as they are a means to power and a means to control.
Does Desm ever, when he speaks like this, does he ever like feel, sort of see back in a slight flashback, see Lorne standing where he's standing and him standing where Bree's standing, having sort of the same conversation about the seven?
Maybe,
Like
but he mainly thinks of the pained screams of his brother, and reflects upon the fact that both him and his brother, prayed and prayed and prayed. Oh, how they besieged heaven for salvation from this evil, and heaven seemingly just looking down upon them with arms crossed, doing nothing. And that's sort of
Seven.
where it broke for him.
The seven, for many people, respect one, the gods, but also the virtues that each of them have, like dedication, honor, loyalty, wisdom. And to throw away the seven, to many, means throwing away the value in those things as well. Someone who does not value the crone does not really value wisdom. Perhaps that would be Desm's view.
Well, and
So-
the gods have no mercy. That's why they're gods.
I
Nima
was just interested
pipes in.
you.
Well, that's what Nima would tell you, at least.
I mean, it's probably true. Yeah, he will sort of snap back to reality after this short introspective.
Bree looking at Uncle expectantly and says,
So what you're saying is that the seven only have power because people invest power because they want power and control, but the concept of virtues are ones that we can see in you or me without the silly notion of gods.
He nods, yes. I do believe that there are virtues, there are ideas, philosophies that we can hold up and that we can follow and that can make us better people. But I do also think that, as it were, the gods help those who help themselves. We cannot rely on the notion of the divine for our success. It is something we must do ourselves.
Is this boring the rest of the players? Should Jonas and I stop?
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Drinking on
good.
Pennis Mountain.
All right. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure.
Penance Mountain is
It's,
all about it.
We're having a lot of roleplay going on, and I think it's fine. If it becomes too much, anyone can just send me a message, and I'll be the guy to say, no, stop, guys.
This philosophical conversation.
It's character development.
We're in a safe space. You can just say it
Yes.
yourself, and I will totally not hate you or judge you at all.
It's
You fucking
it's fine.
cunt.
Grimmith, no, you're doing it.
I am.
Bad Grimmith.
It's American. It's built into me.
For everything. No, he was a yes. I do believe there are things like good and evil, Bree, but I do so distrust those who claim to have a divine mandate to decide which is which.
Like the Lord of the House.
He smiles slightly. Perhaps so, yes. He
Yes.
puts a lot of value into the gods.
It is most certainly not perhaps so, and he is hoping to instill that in all of us, I am sure. I cannot imagine what he has said, but if he had heard what I heard from Alaric and Lady Swan's rooms, I had a few words with the guard who was standing outside the door. I'm not entirely sure what happened in there, but I usually have only heard those sounds from Alaric while fighting, and the guard told me everything was okay.
You see a slight, maybe a little bit of a blush coming on Desmond.
They were right next to my room, Uncle, and they even changed rooms. There was the bedroom that was once vacated, and then there's his room. All around me, Uncle.
Oh no!
Every day. For like a half moon, like 3/4 moons.
I'm
While I'm
very
in
sorry.
introspection, thinking about this important thing.
Yes, I am sorry that you had to hear that, Bree. I do tend to agree with the god that it was probably all right. Nevertheless, I will have a bit of a talk with the dear cousin.
What was happening in there?
It was sort of trails off a little bit.
Okay, don't answer that. Was it something that our Lord would approve of?
No.
So,
No,
it,
for sure not. I'm actually quite sure that Alaric will spend a few days on a hill as penance for that.
wait, don't we have like engineers to train for the
Yes.
hammer? Well,
Yes.
I mean, sure, of course. Standing a few days on the hill will totally help prepare for after the winter ends. I mean,
Yes, of course. It would also help train the troops that are desperately needed for the coming rebellion.
Oh,
The Lord is wise, after all.
thank the seven, and she does like a fist pump.
All right. Well, if this is to happen,
Bree looks incredibly pleased now that Desmond's dropped the topic of like the whole "Who told you this thing?"
he has noted this. This will come back at some point, but for now, the mysterious stranger in the forest that tells Bree things about Andals. And was carrying a nice white bow, as Desmond recalls. Well, there are many white bows around, I'm sure.
Probably
what was I
from Selmy lands. Lord Selmy has
Yes.
tons of bows. They do the longbow thing, you know.
True,
I've been meeting with Sam.
Yeah, exactly. Can I ask Mr. Lord Charlie? Like, so white bow, what are you thinking? He blanches it like, my God! If you say that 3 times, he appears. Right. Well, if this is to happen, Bree, yes, we will need to look into this. The question is when to do this. Before or after the election. It is not. The timing is precarious.
Well, Uncle, the sooner it happens, the sooner that you can fix the damage that the Lord of the House has caused, right? Who can say when war will come to us? Do you know?
Not precisely, no. I am guessing within a few moons. It would. I will look into this a little bit. See what can be arranged. Hopefully you do not need to take an active part in this, Bree. I would not have your soul tainted with this darkness any more than it has to.
Bree looks at her uncle. She doesn't say anything, but it's a really expression.
He sort of thinks a little bit. We will need to see. We need an opportunity to do so. Where is that tavern located?
I don't know, Uncle. I thought I would bring this up to you. I will leave this in your judgment. But do know that I am not the only one looking for those opportunities.
Keep an eye open, and if anything more interesting pertaining things come up, do tell me, and I shall do the same.
I will not see this house fall into ruin, Uncle.
Neither will I.
You should ask your wife, Lady Agatha, about what we spoke about at the dinner table. So I'm sure she'll find it highly interesting. Have a good night.
Open door, closed door.
Desmond sends the letters.
In the distance, you can hear someone yell, "To Bree!"
Back on Penance Mountain.
Penance Mountain is be great.
How is it on Penance Mountain?
It's a fucking party up there.
It's deep,
Yeah.
but we got booze
all we
and
need
food.
all we need is blackjack and hookers. You know
Yeah.
what? Forget blackjack and hookers. We have Hugo and Rosario.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, it's his halter thingy maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, Alaric's taken the thought of, well, he said kneel at the mountain. He never said that I had to stay kneeling at the mountain. And I'll eat and drink. You're not going to starve me.
I'm not gonna talk against you, but I think it was implied.
It was implied, but Alaric don't give a
Like
shit.
it was
But
also-
Fucking say it.
I know,
No,
like it
it's-
was also implied that it was his order, and Alaric's like, is that an order?
Yeah. You know, Alaric wants him to fucking say it, and he's going to take every word, to the letter, and then he's just going to say, I did what you asked. Fuck you.
You know,
You're
if
the
I
monkey
get whipped because of this,
Alaric asked you to come with. You know, it's not safe for a lord to be out on his own and in the mountains.
no, but you know,
You know?
if Hayden's like, he likes her too, then I'm gonna use it against her. Like, damn it.
So how does Alaric feel about Halen now?
He was not best impressed,
Oh, okay.
and everyone that was in that meeting most definitely saw Alaric was very close to getting infuriated with Halen.
It certainly is a different set of values than he has been taught himself
Oh yeah,
by Sir Ashra.
he's
It's
been
just
taught
so-
blackjack and hookers, not Penance Mountain.
It's just so hilarious where he's like, oh, but this Samuel, we all sin, and you know.
I cannot
like-
fathom
Yeah.
how he could say
Wow.
that to like about him and not you. It's because he hasn't met him. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, that's
Maybe he tries to
Probably
send
never
Sam to
has.
Penance Mountain.
yeah.
Well, Lanus wanted to speak to Bree, I think.
God damn it, Bree got this fucking note as soon as she arrives in her room. Like, opens the door, like, kicks it, then like, what is it? Fucking, is it Lucas?
I have been thinking of killing Lord Halen. I was like, oh,
Poem from Lucas. Yeah.
Bree, my dear sister, I wish to speak in you private whenever the time befits you. It has been so long since we discussed matters together as siblings, and I do care for you. You have grown so much in a short time. I feel we have been apart too much. Well, that's because you're Craven, your brother Lanus. Oh. Huh.
Did you seriously say that, or is this just something you're making up?
No, this is legitimately what was said.
like yes, this was Dark's note with Bree's commentary, her director's commentary. Like, Bree, like, walks, like, half out the door and, like, looks down the hallway. She's thinking about just, like, oh, I never got the note. Bree, like, closes her door. Shit, fuck. 7 handles, whatever. Craven. Goes to the room. What does she hear from the other side of the door?
Well, I think it's a great idea to speak more with her. She is delightful. I don't understand why the two of you don't get along.
Perhaps we can solve that.
Bree looks up at the heavens. Bites her lip and...
Oh, Bree.
Bree holds up the note.
Rosette sort of awkwardly moves over, like, I need to take a walk.
He's like, pushes past Bree. Bree, like, turns and
Awkwardly,
looks...
like, tippy toes, moves quickly to...
She looks accusingly down the stairs at Rosette.
Goes up the stairs to, like, go just hang out.
Bree rotates her head.
Was this her idea?
No.
Okay.
Bree walks in.
Lanus closes the door, though he's clearly on guard. Just like,
As is Bree. Whose muscles ripple as she looks from, like, chair and chair, table and table.
Lanus gesturing to a seat. If you want
Alright.
to sit down.
Bree looks over at one of the chairs and plops herself in Rosette's chair.
Okay. Sure.
While you have a bit of a conversation, I'm just going to restart the server. I got an
Okay.
error message just now.
Yes, those popped up.
So,
Plops into Rosette's chair, folds her scarred, leathery hands in her lap, looks up at Lena's.
Takes a second, clearly trying to ponder how to exactly say something.
Bree looks at him expectantly.
Oh, lovely room, brother. I have not been in here since Rosette moved in.